Hello, my name is Richard Hardy. I'm the CEO and founder of Blue Collar Pet Transport, and today we're bringing you an informational piece about choosing the best transport company for you and your family. Again, my name is Richard Hardy with Blue Collar Pet Transport, and I have with me Steve Cavanaugh and Neal Jones, two long-term employees with Blue Collar Pet Transport. They have some of their experience and some of their day-to-day practices within the company that can help answer a lot of these questions and concerns, and also, again, assist with helping you find the best transport company. So, Steve, go ahead and introduce yourself, and Neal, as far as your position.
Hello, my name is Steve Cavanaugh. I'm a pet relocation specialist.
My name is Neal Jones. I'm the business account manager.
All right, so Steve's daily job is communicating with people like you, giving you guys the information that you need to make this decision. And Neal deals with a lot of breeders and a lot of other, trainers and other people that are more commercialized when it comes to dealing with pets. So again, I feel as though their information will be, very valuable in answering again some of these questions and kind of helping you navigate through finding the best pet relocation team for you. We all come from Blue Collar Pet Transport, so we all have years of experience on how this works and the daily operations and what's needed to get the job done the right way. Some of the things that we're going to go over are going to be based upon phase one being you, the customer. What you need to do to prepare before you even start communicating with transport companies. And I believe the number one thing is information. You need to find out what works best for you as far as timing, what works best for your pet, because nobody knows your pet better than you, your budget, because you know how much you can afford and what different services that you can utilize to best work with your schedule and your pet. And also you want to start considering all your options back and forth with it. You want to have the information before you connect with them. Do you guys have anything to say on that?
No, you're doing good.
Thank you. So the first thing is you, the client, when should you consider looking for a pet transport company? How much time in advance should you be doing this?
I would say about a month in advance, or as soon as you possibly can, to get the ball rolling, because a lot of people have a lot of questions, especially if you're moving. You have a lot on your plate. I hear from customers all the time. They're moving and have a moving company coming in. They're moving their cars, their boats, their furniture. They're trying to sell one house, move into another house. So it's a lot going on. And the last thing that they want to deal with is worrying about their pets. And when you call a company like Blue Collar, we specialize in what we do, and I help a lot of people that are moving with their situation. Everybody has a scenario and a story, and it's my job, our job, to listen to that and really help you through the experience. And customers love it when our professionalism is we have the questions and answers for them to deal with their pets. I can't help you with all the other stuff that's going on. You're selling the house, buying the house, but I can relieve all the pressure of moving your pet. So people really enjoy that, and it's a big pressure off it because they love their pets, and so do we.
Of course. And the benefit of being the early bird and planning ahead, you get better results. Never call a company last minute. It never works out. Anytime you have the advantage of knowing when you're going to move or when you need to, make that the first priority. It's no different than transporting your car. I've seen times where people will put everything in one pot and have the date set to a specific time, and they're calling other companies involved in this moving situation last minute, and I've seen it go wrong on many different scales. So calling any transport company in advance is going to save you a lot of hustle and bustle near the end, because then you have more options when the company has more time to work with also. The next thing you also want to look into when looking for a pet transport company, preparing yourself, is knowing what's best for your pet. So you know your pet better than we do. Most companies are going to require a health check. Most companies are going to require some kind of knowledge about your pet. So you need to be able to note and look at every detail of what concerns you may have about your pet and transport, and also know what you want to tell them. You want them to know that your pet is a senior citizen if it's over 8-9 years old. You want to know about all its underlying health conditions. You want to give all this information to them. So this is information you want to have prior, okay? So again, knowing when you're going to go and calling in advance, benefit number one. 2, knowing any and everything about your pet so you can further give information to help the transport company with the decision of what service works best for you also. Neal, did you have anything in regards to that?
Yeah, definitely. One thing working with breeders and working with rescuers as well, they're trying to get the pet to the client. And oftentimes with breeders, their clients are not close. So planning it out is definitely a big deal, because sometimes people say, well, we'll just drive from East Canton, Ohio to Tyler Perry to get the pet. Not realizing that's 2,200 miles round trip. That's a lot of gas, stopping, and a lot can go wrong. It can go right, but a lot can go wrong in that amount of time and how far you have to travel. So being able to see how far it is to get the pet to you from the breeder is very, very indicative to how the pet will be transported to you. So definitely time it out, do the research, and call, and let us help you get that done.
And with that being said, again, knowing your pet, giving that information to the pet transport company will always work out. The next phase for you is to also know your budget. Kind of figure out what you can afford within the realm of choosing your service, because you need to know what your options are and not have to worry about going over too many different scenarios. If you call a pet transport company up and you let them know, listen, I'm trying to get my pet from point A to point B. This is the time frame I'm looking at. This is my pet situation. This is their age, their health, this is the complete scenario around how my pet is, everything about your best friend. And then going into the budget, will always let the transport company know what they can do for you. It's not a good thing for any company that you choose to try to sell you on their highest service, because that might not be in your realm. I see a lot of times that happen over the phone with certain sales people, or me communicating with other transport companies prior to doing my own research about pet relocation, and they often try to sell you the highest service that they have, because again, at the end of the day, it's a bottom dollar for a company. So in your best interest, start off with what your budget is and what you can afford, so you can go straight to what you're able to do and what the best scenarios for your pet. Because guess what, the one thing I'll say is, no matter if you're booking with us or booking with any company, I'd rather you do it yourself than try to pick a service that you're not comfortable with, but it's the only one that you can afford. Because I'd rather the pet get there safely, just like we all would.
Yes.
We don't want you guys looking for the cheapest option possible. Know your budget, communicate with your transport company what you can afford, and let them go from that aspect. And if you don't agree with it, don't try to find someone cheaper, because you do get what you pay for in this industry. So again, knowing your budget is the best thing for you.
Yes, and I agree with Richard. What he was saying is, we all want the best for our pets, just like we do our children. But everybody has different pockets, which we totally understand. And it doesn't matter if you go with our premium service or our most affordable service. We're going to give your pets all the same amount of TLC. We're going to manage it 7 days a week, 365 days a year. My operations team is here watching over the drivers and the pets. And one of the things that we do, we have cameras inside the vehicles. They face inside and outside, and tracking devices. So we monitor everything that is going on. So if like I was saying, we all want the best, but if you are on a budget, we're gonna find a way to help you out. Even if you can't afford our lowest price, a lot of times we'll help servicemen and women that need their dogs. I was just talking with a serviceman, and his mother was trying to get him his emotional support dog to him. We had to come quite a ways down on price, but we got the job done, because we do want to make the best situation for everybody.
All right, now, when it comes down to the person and the service, you always want to make sure that the person making the decision is the one that owns the pet. Ideally, you would think that it would circulate around the person paying for it, which 90% of the time, the client is always the pet owner. But make sure when choosing a service that the person who actually owns and cares and loves about this pet, the one that is gonna at end be the one to make what I say review, or their idea of how the transport went, is going to be the one that's going to want to choose a service. So even if Auntie is paying for her niece's pet transport coming back from college to bring her dog back home for the holiday, you want the one who owns the pet to make that decision. This is something that I try to communicate with breeders, and of course Neal, I'm sure you get that all the time, where a breeder will try to make a decision for a new puppy coming home after the client has purchased the pet, not realizing, because they're a breeder, they really don't know every single person that they're dealing with and how they may feel about this puppy from first sight or just knowing that they own it. But that puppy is that person's dog or cat or whatever, that's their pet now. So there's an attachment to it. There's a whole way this animal is going to live because this person now owns it. So the breeder isn't the best decision maker when it comes to that pet being transported. Because if, for example, you pick a cheaper service, if the breeder picks the cheapest service possible thinking that it'll make the client happy, then what happens is during the process of communicating with the client during transport, the amount of time it takes to get the pet there and all the way to the end of the delivery, that customer who actually owns the pet is going to want to have a complete on-site of what's going on. They're going to want to know what's happening, and they're going to want to make sure that the pet was taken care of a certain way. It's always best to let them choose that service so there's no mistakes. It's happened in this business before where a breeder shipped a puppy to the northern region coming from the southern region, and the client at the end of the transport was upset because of the time frame. There's multiple ways you can get this done, expedited, shared. There's all kinds of ways to get a pet door to door, especially with us. So that client would have preferred a quicker service opposed to a cheaper service. The breeder didn't know that, and the breeder had to go through massive apologies and discounting the client because they felt like they weren't respected. They didn't feel like the animal was treated a certain type of way, which no matter who you choose as a business, I know with us, we take care of, it doesn't matter what level of service you use, the number one thing is we take care of a pet with the best of care, as if they were our own family. But in the same breath, some people view the service they choose as the best form of treatment. And in that scenario, it would save that breeder a whole lot of stress if that pet was transported the way they wanted. So remember, again, the people who are actually involved with the pet, the one that actually loves this pet, the one that cares for it, they are the better person to call and communicate and do the research, because that's the person that's going to make the final decision, not only based on budget, but based on how they feel about the service.
That's a really good point, because when a customer is buying a new puppy, they're excited, which we totally understand. One of the things that everybody is worried about is the scams and the skepticism of the industry. And it's great for a breeder to be able to let their customer know, hey, call Blue Collar, they're a great transport company and you can trust them. And that's really what the client is looking for. And they can contact us, and again, we will customize the whole transport experience to that customer. And it actually heightens the whole excitement of getting a puppy, because you're getting it now the way you wanted it. So turn it even to a more exciting experience for you, your family.
This may be a first time for somebody in their first experience using a pet transportation company or service. So using the breeder, they don't transport pets. And a lot of breeders who I talk to, they say the customer has to come to them. Like you said, it's best for the owner of that pet to make a decision on how they want that pet transported to them. Because they may not have the time or even the funds at this point after buying a certain breed of animal, cat or dog, that they can't come to the breeder and actually pick up the dog. So they need the pet transported to them, and we have a variety of ways to get the pet transported to them. So don't let someone else's experience about pet transportation defer you and you doing your research and picking the right service for your pet, because each company is different and each experience is different. So when talking to different people, they say, well, I got burned before using a different company. They may have picked the cheapest one, and you will get what you pay for. So do your research and understand that it is the client who is king. They make the decision on how they want their pet transported to them based on their needs, their budget. There's a lot of different things in that basket. So keep that open in mind, because definitely working with breeders and rescuers, they have a lot of things saying that the customer has to come to them. That's not always the best scenario.
And Neal is right. Definitely choose a company, someone that you can check on that is USDA certified. There's a lot of people out there that are transporting pets. They're not insured, they're not USDA certified. They don't know what they're doing. And you really, really want to be careful of that. You don't want to put yourself or your pets in that situation. And as Neal was saying, this is something you're probably going to do once in your lifetime, maybe multiple times, but most of the time probably once. Make it a good choice for you and your pet.
Alrighty, now This is phase 2 of looking for the best pet transport company for you and your pet. This one, you really want to pay attention to the details of this, because this is the knowledge that you'll be able to have when you actually are making those calls. And I want you to have these things on your mind when you're listening to the people that you're connecting with, or when you're reading information about the company, to keep in mind to look for. These are the things that by law that we as a pet transport company are supposed to have. These are things that will help ensure that you at least are working with a real pet transport company opposed to a scam, and that the people are more legitimate. And again, you really don't know everything until you are working with the company, but in the same breath, you want to have some kind of information and some kind of leeway when actually connecting with these people. Because if you see anything out of the normal, or you see anything that you quite don't understand, we'll be able to at least help you better understand what you're supposed to be looking at, okay, and how this should look, okay? Transporting pets can be a simple thing if done properly and with the right company, but things can get complicated, and you don't want to be left out the loop, and you don't want to be told anything that you might not quite understand at the beginning that you could have avoided. So the first thing when looking into a pet transport company is going to be the validation of the business itself. One thing with any time you're doing a business or doing business with a company that you don't know and it's your first time, with the entire experience, is validate who you're communicating with. So first things first, find out where they're located. You can look them up online. I'm sure there's an address. I'm sure that there's some kind of information leading to where their home office is, or where they're located, what state they're in. Don't be afraid to take your time and go check to see if the business is registered. I don't consider these to be extra measures as far as doing too much, okay? This is your pet. This is something that you're gonna wanna make sure that you look at all your avenues for. Go online, go to the corporate filing of that state that they say they're located in. If you can't find them there, you can actually make a call to any of them. They're all public. It's all public information, and it's federally ran. Make sure that you are utilizing a registered business. The reason being is, in any situation, say something does go wrong, you want to make sure that the people that you're dealing with are accountable. So being registered in the state, they have to abide by certain laws. So having a LLC, some kind of corporation, will at least let you know that the company you're dealing with is doing their due diligence on doing the right thing by registering their business. Number 2, you're going to start looking into reviews. I'll go ahead and let Neal speak on that, because he deals with that a lot when talking to our business clients.
A lot of people want to be able to see consistency with a transport company, especially with their pet. It's a loved one, it's a family member coming to them. So being able to get on Google and seeing if a company has any kind of reviews and what level reviews, how many stars, those matter. Check BBB, Yelp. Again, I said Google. Check to see if the company has actual vehicles. Are they wrapped vehicles? Like, check to see if it's legit. That's one thing about Blue Collar. I send a link in every email over and over again, so they can see exactly that we are USDA certified. We have the things we need. We have hundreds upon thousands of reviews on there from all over the country. Like I said, we travel to all connected 48, Canada, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico, so we can get reviews from all over the place. People can see that we are a legit company. Reviews matter. So if you're looking for a pet transport company and they have no reviews, or 1 or 2 reviews, no P.O. box or real address, when you Google it goes to the middle of the field, that's a red flag. And you want to look at that because it makes a difference. Even though you maybe talk to someone on the phone about it, you need to find consistency with the business. It is always there, especially with the internet.
Communication is key. Even though there are some companies out there, they have all these legitimate things, the LLC, they have different things like that. You want to call them throughout the day, different days, see if they answer the phone. And that's one of the most important things. Communication is key to this industry, because when a company is transporting your pet, you are going to be nervous, you're going to want to know stuff, you're going to want to have answers, questions and answers. So being able to contact somebody, and we are here 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We're always here for communication. We even have a 24-hour, somebody answer them late in the middle of the night. We're constantly improving on our communication with our customers. A lot of the companies out there, even though they're legit, you have to email your questions in. So if you want a quote, you got to email it in. You can't call them. If you do call, they don't answer. Trust me, you don't want that type of service. You want the best. Call Blue Collar.
So again, BBB, Yelp, let's see, social media. There's many fashions of validation that you can utilize. The cool part about the social media presence for a business is that social media is geared around, you know, communicating with customers and people that just admire the idea of what they're doing. Because the pet transport industry is still very new to the world. A lot of people don't even know what it is. So social media is a great gateway to help with validation of a company. So if you were to go to their Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, any of these you know, outside platforms that people use for social media, it'll give you a chance to see comments from real live customers that had experience. You'll be able to see content that these businesses post that give you insight to their companies on what their core values are, what their beliefs are. You know, pictures, a lot of pictures and live feeds are posted from live transports to customer testimonials, and also seeing vehicles and equipment and office staff. These are things that will help validate that you're dealing with a real company, a real group of people. And even though some of the newer companies maybe haven't grasped this yet, it's 2021. It's a newer generation of people out here, and social media is a really big basis for validation on any level. You guys already know how it is. It's almost like you're not even relevant in the world if you don't have any kind of social media. So businesses have to take advantage of that. And when looking at a pet relocation company, that does help. Me seeing you actually transport pets from point A to point B, me seeing you communicate with customers, happy puppies in vans, inside of hotel rooms, taking them on walks, those kind of things build validation, okay? So they should have a very strong social media platform. And no, guys, I'm not talking about a ton of followers. Even though that makes sense to people, followers aren't the validation. It's the consistent content in the feed that's a validation for you. We just want our customers who really are concerned about their pet safety and know they're handling, and I mean, dealing with a real company, we want them to have that validation of knowing that they're not giving their pet or their money to either potentially a scam or a company that doesn't do good service. I know that if I saw one or two bad reviews here and there within a business, and I said, okay, let me keep doing research, and I see that they consistently do a lot of good work, and they're consistently doing this work, and they've been established for a while because I checked their registration of their business, they've been around for a while, that I want to make sure that all this consistency flows together. It'll make me as a pet owner feel better about choosing a service, and this will help you determine what company is the best for you. Another idea to keep in mind when looking for a pet transport company is something that you don't hear about, something that's not public information to you, and even when I hear people speak about it, you can tell it was mentioned to them to ask this question, but they don't really understand why they're asking this question or what it really means. To be USDA certified, it is not a registry. It is not something that's mandated or by law, you know, has regulations on it. It's a system by the U.S. government to assist pet transport companies, and a lot of other pet industries operate a certain type of way, and there's guidelines, okay? You want the company you're dealing with to be USDA certified. That means they took their time to register their company. It makes it public. That means the USDA was able to give them information to help them regulate how to do this properly. The USDA knows everything about animals on every level, whether it's a lion, tiger, bear, or cat or puppy or guinea pig. So that means that company has received the information needed to operate properly. So if they are not USDA registered, certified, not registered. Remember, registered doesn't exist, it's certification. It's certified. That you want to ask them questions around that. If they're not USDA certified, well, what practices do they have within their company that ensures that the quality of the care and the way the pet is transported is safe, okay? A lot of companies will say that they are certified, but they're not. A lot of companies aren't doing the due diligence because they don't feel like they need it. So that's one of the different avenues to keep in mind. Are you USDA certified? And the other thing, insured. Steve, you can go ahead and give them the, why there's a benefit to insurance.
Well, I think that's self-explanatory. You know, to be insured, it's in USDA certified. These are, you know, I would like to see more companies out there doing a great job like Blue Collar does, because it's a big industry and there's so many Joe Schmoes out there, and I'm not trying to put anybody down, but I feel like it's okay if you're out there moving stuff, trying to make a buck, you know, moving stuff, but when you're moving somebody's pet, you might as well have their children. So you want to make sure that they are USDA certified and they are insured. And this company definitely puts their heart into it. And we've been doing this for some years now, and it took us to move thousands of pets to get the hundreds of, I think we're over 300 reviews. So that's really, really good. We want to be in the thousands. We want to get to thousands of reviews. We are going to have some negative ones, but that's a good thing because that's how you learn. So there are mistakes that are done out there, but that's fine. This is how all companies learn, and we want to be the best we can be, and we would like to see more companies out there being the best they can be. So go with a company that is insured, USDA certified, and just giving their all.
All right, and I'm gonna touch a little bit on the insured side as far as what we as a company mean insured. Yes, we have employee insurance for the business, we have business insurance. Yes, we have vehicle insurance, but those aren't insurances that apply to you as the customer. The actual pet and transport has to be insured. That's a totally different ballgame. When you communicate with these other transport companies and you're doing your research, you're not gonna be able to find that publicly about them, but in the communication with that company, is my pet insured? Because if you sheerly just ask a company, are you insured? They're gonna tell you yes, because 9 times out of 10, they have a policy that protects their office staff from terroristic threats, from fighting within the office or any outside entities coming in. They have auto insurance like Progressive, Geico, or General, or whatever the case may be, but that's not pertains to how you and what you're gonna be dealing with in the event something does happen. You want those things in place. Yes, it sucks to think negatively about what could go wrong. I always keep those things in mind. That's the same reason why I don't walk my dog outside with a leash, because I don't want to deal with the negatives of what could happen. I think about that consciously. So the same thing with choosing a company. What happens if something goes wrong, and what does this insurance mean, and how do I find out if it applies to me? You need to know that, is my pet while in transport insured? It's very similar to the same insurance that boarding facilities use, veterinary facilities use. This is an insurance company that does protect your actual pet in the event of an accident, mistreatment, loss, stolen. You know, these insurances come with bonds, all kinds of stuff. So make sure if you communicate this with the pet transport company and they can't clearly answer that question, that means that no, they're not insured for your pet. I'm gonna tell you right now, after doing all my research, Progressive will not insure your pet if there's an accident out in the vehicle. Geico, no company, no auto insurance company will do that. They don't look at pets like family members or people. We do. The insurance company that we utilize for the pets does. So that's something that is a must, because anything can go wrong, whether it's, you know, mishandling, anything. Not saying that happens on our end, but that's what we have insurance for, because we don't play blind to all the things that could happen. We want to make sure that you, the client, is taken care of in every aspect. Another thing you're going to want to look into when looking for a pet transport company is images of the vehicles on the insides. Okay, that's the last thing I'm going to touch on with, you know, the validation. If they're afraid to show you what the inside of the vehicle looks like prior to you using their service, then 9 times out of 10, it's, you know, you don't want to open it up like a Christmas gift when it's time to come pick your dog up and you completely think this is, an entirely bad situation for your pet, because you don't agree with the conditions of what the vehicle is after you've already paid, after you've already waited until the vehicle showed up and it's all crunch time. So utilize the social media platform and the website. They should have a picture of what the inside of their vehicles looks like, or you could at least see it in passing, or the person you're communicating with setting your job up, I'm sure they're able to send you a picture or something to make you feel comfortable about how your pet's going to be transported.
Actually, Richard is right there. One of the big things that we do not do, a lot of people and companies out there are using cargo vans, because your pet shouldn't be treated like a piece of cargo. It is part of your family. So we use passenger vans that are insulated, have heat and air conditioning, whatever, you know, time of year it is. Very important. We've seen some people out there stacking 20 dogs and cats inside. We keep the pets to a minimum, because we want the driver to pay the appropriate amount of attention to each pet. Your pet deserves the best, and that's why we do that. We want to keep it to a minimum. So very, very important.
All right, now we are going to get into phase 3 of choosing the best pet transport company for you and your pet. This one is going to be circulated around the red flags, meaning what to avoid. when communicating with these pet transport companies and doing your due diligence, there's just certain things you just can't get around when making that decision. Meaning, if a company isn't insured, you don't want to put your pet in that situation, guys. Always remember that something can go wrong. So there's a lot of other things besides not having insurance, or not fully having the social media presence, or even all the reviews, because some of these things could be shortcomings of a newer company. Red flags are things that typically you're more likely to involve yourself into a scam and you're not even getting your pet picked up. That's what the red flag is about in phase 3. How to avoid getting scammed and how to avoid using the worst companies, period, okay? The one thing I'm gonna touch on is our third party groups, okay? They're like what we call your Craigslisters of the industry. No, Craigslist doesn't transport pets. We all know the story about Craigslist, but it's got a web platform where you can go on and you can connect with through Craigslist to communicate with people selling stuff. Well, in the pet transport world, that is a total no-no. That middleman never validates any of the information. They'll sell you a good image and a picture on a page, but they don't even have a connection with the company behind them. So if they're a company or not. So you have to watch out for those third parties. How do you know you're dealing with a third party? 9 times out of 10, they don't have any of the validation that we talked about at all. And even if they do, they're never directed towards pictures of pets with vehicles and all that kind of stuff that are legitimate. It'll be stock photos. The other thing is they're gonna ask you for like a small 10% fee, and then they give you a phone number to connect with somebody else who actually communicates with you further about the transport. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. You want to communicate with a real person, not a third-party site. You guys want to go into about third-party sites?
Yeah, on some of the sites and things that I hear about third-party sites where people are just bidding on how low they can go to transport your pet. Something has to click in your mind. Something is not right about that. If somebody is transporting a toolbox, a motorcycle, something like that for you, fine. Those are all replaceable items. Your pet is not. So don't allow people to sit and bid on how low they can transport your pet, because you just don't want to put you or your pet in that situation.
And it literally takes away the ability for you to find out who you're really dealing with. Because if you go on these sites that do the negotiable pricing, the low pricing, or you're dealing with a third-party site, when something goes wrong, that third-party site does not back you up. 9 times out of 10, when you read the contract or the service agreement on the actual page before you make this little payment to get the information, 9 times out of 10, that agreement it covers that they are not liable for anything that happens, and the most that you may get is a refund of the small deposit you made with them, which doesn't carry any security for you and your pet. It's very unsecure in a sense, because, for example, I'm sure that Joe Schmo can go on these sites, he's just trying to make a quick buck on a weekend, and now your precious pet has to be subdued to whatever conditions that he's willing to give your pet, because he doesn't have the experience. He or she doesn't have the experience. They're not dedicated to it. When something goes wrong, they'll delete their account on these websites and they'll go on about their life. They're not registered businesses. They don't care. They might even re-sign up with a different email at the end of the day. The next thing that you guys want to look into when also looking for these red flags are the payment systems. You try to want to avoid MoneyGram, Western Union. This goes back into the scam world. I know that Neal and Steve, listening and communicating with customers, have heard about these experiences, not only with purchasing pets online, which is a big epidemic during COVID-19, where people are literally buying pets through the internet, but they're running into massive scams where people are asking them to send gift cards and money orders and Western Unions or cash through the mail. These are very unsecure forms of payment, which professional companies do not practice things like this because they know that is bad business practice. Wiring money, the only time I've ever seen wiring money to be the case for a business is for international pet relocation only. I've never seen it done for companies that do any work within the USA. Your credit card company should be able to protect you. Your bank should be involved. They should be able to protect you. So there's nothing wrong with using debit cards, credit cards, ACHs, the things that are pretty much monitored and moderated between the relationship between the merchant and your bank. So do not do MoneyGrams, do not do Western Unions, don't do any of those scamish, fashionable forms of payment. And 9 times out of 10, any business that is practicing only using it as a form of payment for a service industry, it's a big red flag that they are a scam. You're probably not even going to get anybody that ever shows up to your home. One thing, guys, that I've learned over the last couple years directly in the pet transport industry is a scam that's running around with, with the pet buying industry. They'll sell you a $2,000-3,000 dog for the price of $300, and this digs into the promising low price aspect of transport and buying pets. They'll sell you a dog that goes for $2,000 or $3,000 for $300. Then they'll go ahead and tell you that they're going to go ahead and get you transport also. What you do is you're going to pay them another low price to get the pet and the transport. And then what happens is once you send them the money, they got you hooked. You think you're getting a pet, you're all tied into it, and now it's time for you to deal with this company supposedly picking this pet up. And then I'll get the whole scenario of they told me that I had to pay $1,000 last minute for an insurance company because the pet won't be allowed to transport, and then the person will send the money. And then the next thing, because now they're trying to drain you. They feel like they got somebody on the hook. The next one is, oh, we need a special carrier. There is no such thing as a carrier that has AC inside of it and is specially designed. That is a scam. That has been the biggest scam running for the longest now. And that is adding on top of getting you to Western Union and MoneyGram more money, okay? These are red flags. That's why I say the payment system structure, even if it is a legitimate pet transport company, you're removing yourself from being secure when there's no way for you to communicate with you, your merchant, and the company if you're not taken care of properly, okay?
I'll say this one thing real quick. Everything you said is right. Also, when you're dealing with a professional company, pay attention to the vocabulary and the things they are saying when they are setting up the transport. They should be asking you how much your pet weighs, is there anything you know about your pet, and there should be certain things that should go along with the conversation of sealing the deal with getting your pet transported. If they just ask you what size is your pet and do you have a cage for it, and that's it. They don't ask you nothing about the diet, leashes, nothing like that. They just want to put the pet, like in the back of a Honda or something like that, or just in the car. You need to ask these questions. How is my pet going to be transported? You need to ask these questions, listen to the vocabulary. In that conversation, you may realize, no, this is not the best thing for me and my pet. Just a FYI.
And back to what Richard was saying about the third-party sites. One of the big things you will find it on those sites, it says we're not responsible for what happens basically to your pet. So they're just connecting you to Joe Schmo out there. And back to what we were talking about earlier, this person, I can almost guarantee they're not USDA certified, they're not licensed, bonded, anything, any type of accreditation like that. We take responsibility for what we do. We are accountable for how we transport your pet. And these are some things, how we came in. Before we ever accept 1 penny from a customer, we have a service agreement that holds us accountable to do what we say we're gonna do. And we can start everything off with a 20% deposit, and then we'll go ahead and transport the pet and do it the right way, and then we'll worry about the rest of the payment. That's a company being fair, treating you and your pet correctly.
All right, so my name again, I'm Richard Hardy with Blue Collar Pet Transport, founder and the CEO.
Steve Cavanaugh, Transport Pet Specialist.
Neal Jones, Business Account Manager.
And you can find out more information about our company and other information on the pet transport industry actually at our website. If you go to www.bluecollarpettransport.com and you go to our About Us and our Info tab, we have massive amounts of information, blogs and articles that'll teach you more about the pet transport industry and what to expect. And you can also give a call to one of our representatives 24/7 at 888-208-6669. Again, that's 888-208-6669, and you can reach one of our representatives 24/7 that can answer any questions for you in relations to getting a service done.